Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Beyond the Gates channel. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Before we begin, don't forget to subscribe and hit like for more daily drama updates and spoilers. Your support truly means a lot and helps our channel grow every day. Now, let's jump straight into today's exciting update. Beyond the Gates spoilers promise another wildly chaotic and emotionally charged day in the glamorous world of Fairmont Crest, where one unexpected decision can send an entire family into turmoil and one carefully guarded secret can threaten to destroy everything. As tensions rise behind closed doors, Hayley Hamilton appears poised to trigger a surprising confrontation. Dani Dupree receives a disturbing phone call that sends her rushing toward an unexpected destination, and Ted Richardson finds himself completely stunned by his daughter's latest move. What begins as another seemingly ordinary day quickly becomes a tangled web of impulsive choices, suspicious medical developments, complicated relationships, and dangerous secrets waiting to surface, with emotions already running high. After everything these characters have endured, the drama is about to intensify in ways that could permanently change several lives. And in Fairmont Crest, where betrayal and passion are never far apart, the consequences of these latest developments may be impossible to contain. The first wave of trouble centers on Ted Richardson, who is about to be blindsided by Cat Richardson's latest actions. Cat recently rejected Tomas Navarro's marriage proposal, a decision that already left emotional wounds and uncertainty hanging over their relationship. But now she has suddenly made an equally life-changing choice in the opposite direction. Acting on the spur of the moment, Kat decided to buy a condo and move in with her boyfriend, leaving Ted understandably shocked by how quickly everything unfolded. After all, most people do not simply think about purchasing a home and then complete the purchase only hours later, especially when such a major decision could reshape the course of their future. For Ted, the speed and impulsiveness of Kat's choice are bound to raise serious concerns, particularly because this is not the first time the question of living with Thomas has come between them. Only a few months earlier, Kat had rejected Tomas's invitation to move in with him, making her sudden decision to buy a condo and begin living together feel even more unexpected. Yet beneath Kat's dramatic decision lies a far more complicated emotional truth, because fans know that her sudden purchase was not simply the result of excitement about starting a new chapter with Thomas. Kat was motivated, at least in part, by guilt after rejecting his marriage proposal, and buying the condo became a way of proving that she was still committed to their relationship, even if she was not ready to become his wife. In her mind, moving in together may feel like a meaningful compromise, a gesture meant to soften the pain of her rejection and reassure Thomas that she still sees a future with him. But from Ted's perspective, that emotional motivation could make the situation even more troubling, because major life decisions made out of guilt rarely come without consequences. As a father, he may wonder whether Kat is genuinely ready for this step or simply trying to repair the hurt she caused by making an even bigger commitment before she has fully considered what it means. The question now is whether Ted can talk some sense into his daughter, or whether Kat has already gone too far down this path to reconsider. While Ted struggles to understand Kat's sudden change of heart, Tomas Navarro is about to find himself pulled into a completely different kind of conflict. In a development that seems strange even by Fairmont Crest standards, Tomas will get into a fight with Naomi Hawthorne, creating an awkward and potentially explosive situation for everyone involved. Naomi is not merely another person in Thomas's orbit, because she is his boss's daughter and also Kat's cousin, which means any serious confrontation between them could ripple through both his professional and personal life. Whatever causes the argument must be powerful enough to push these two into direct conflict despite all the complicated connections surrounding them. The tension becomes even more intriguing because added teasers suggest that Hayley Hamilton will somehow be responsible for setting the entire confrontation in motion. Whether it is something she says, something she does, or another carefully calculated move, Hayley appears ready to stir up trouble once again. That revelation immediately raises questions about what Bill Hamilton's gold-digging wife could possibly be planning, because wherever Hayley goes, suspicion and drama never seem to be far behind. If her words or actions are enough to ignite a fight between Thomas and Naomi, then whatever she unleashes could have consequences far beyond one heated argument. Naomi may discover something she cannot ignore. Thomas may be forced to defend himself or someone he cares about, or Hayley could deliberately manipulate the situation for reasons that have yet to become clear. Whatever the truth may be, the confrontation promises to place already complicated relationships under even greater pressure, with Kat making impulsive decisions about her future with Thomas at the same time. The timing of this conflict could not be more dangerous. One wrong accusation or one explosive revelation could turn Kat's hopeful new beginning into another emotional disaster before she has even settled into her new home. Meanwhile, the most emotionally intense development of Tuesday, July 14th, appears to belong to Dani Dupree, whose day will take a frightening and unexpected turn when she receives a phone call. Whatever Dani hears on the other end of that call will be serious enough to push her into making a surprising visit, and all signs point toward Bill Hamilton's latest medical crisis. Bill has already landed in the hospital, but the mystery surrounding exactly what happened to him continues to deepen. Now, Dani may finally receive more information about why her ex-husband became so dangerously ill, and the answers could be far more disturbing than anyone expected. The growing question hanging over the situation is whether Bill's MRI results could reveal evidence of poisoning. If that possibility becomes reality, then his medical emergency will no longer look like a simple health scare, but the beginning of a potentially sinister mystery. For Dani, however, the situation is painfully complicated because Bill is not simply an ex-husband from a distant chapter of her life. Her emotions toward him have become increasingly tangled, especially after the two crossed a line during the tornado when they slept together inside that elevator. That intimate encounter reopened feelings, wounds, and unresolved history that neither of them can easily erase, leaving Dani struggling with anger, guilt, attraction, and confusion all at once. She has been deeply upset with Bill lately, yet hearing that his condition may be far more serious than anyone realized could force those emotions into an entirely different perspective. The possibility that someone may have deliberately poisoned him could awaken fear and concern that Dani has been trying desperately to suppress. No matter how complicated their history has become, seeing Bill in genuine danger may reveal just how deeply connected to him she still remains. Bill's newest medical emergency is therefore certain to create a storm of drama between Bill, Hayley, and Dani, with each of them carrying their own secrets, suspicions, and emotional agendas into an already volatile situation. Hayley is Bill's wife, but Dani's connection to him has become dangerously intimate again, creating a triangle that could explode if the truth comes out. And hovering just outside that emotional battlefield is Andre Richardson, whose involvement makes the entire situation even more complicated. Dani's relationship with Andre could face devastating consequences if what happened between her and Bill during the tornado is finally exposed. The hospital crisis may bring everyone closer together physically, but emotionally it could push them toward a confrontation none of them are prepared to face. As fear over Bill's condition grows, the pressure to uncover what truly happened to him may also begin exposing secrets that were never supposed to see the light of day. And that leads to the even bigger question now hanging over Fairmont Crest. Will the truth about Dani and Bill's infidelity finally surface? Their forbidden encounter in the elevator has remained a dangerous secret, but secrets this explosive rarely stay buried forever, especially when a medical emergency forces old feelings and complicated relationships back into the spotlight. If Hayley discovers that her husband betrayed her with Dani, the fallout could be enormous. And if Andre learns what happened, Dani may find herself facing a painful reckoning of her own. At the same time, if Bill was truly poisoned, the search for answers could expose motives, lies, and hidden resentments that connect far more people than anyone realizes. With Kat's impulsive new beginning raising alarms, Hayley potentially triggering a fierce confrontation between Thomas and Naomi, and Dani being drawn back toward Bill at the worst possible moment, Tuesday's drama promises to leave Fairmont Crest shaken. The only certainty is that once the truth begins to emerge, there may be no way for anyone to escape the consequences. As the tension surrounding Bill's condition continues to build, Dani's surprising visit could become the moment when all of those buried emotions finally become impossible to hide. She may arrive believing that she is simply there to understand what happened, but the moment she sees Bill vulnerable in a hospital bed, the emotional walls she has tried to rebuild could begin to crumble. Their history is too deep, their recent betrayal too fresh, and the memory of what happened during the tornado still hangs between them like a secret neither can completely forget. Even if Dani tells herself that her concern is only natural after everything they once shared, her reaction could reveal far more than she intends. Hayley, already standing at the center of Bill's life as his wife, may begin watching every glance, every hesitation, and every emotionally charged moment with growing suspicion. And if Dani allows even the smallest hint of her true feelings to surface, the dangerous secret connecting her and Bill could move one step closer to exposure. The possibility of poisoning only makes the situation more frightening because if Bill's medical results point toward something deliberate, everyone around him could suddenly become part of a much darker mystery. Questions would immediately begin to surface about who might want to harm Bill, how the poison could have reached him, and whether his collapse was part of a carefully planned attack. For Hayley, the pressure could become especially intense as attention turns toward the people closest to him, while Dani may find herself torn between fear for Bill's life and suspicion about what has really been happening behind the scenes. The hospital could quickly transform from a place of recovery into the center of an investigation filled with accusations, mistrust, and hidden motives. Every conversation may carry a second meaning, and every secret could suddenly become relevant as those around Bill search for the truth. If someone truly targeted him, then the danger may not be over, and the person responsible could still be watching from the shadows. At the same time, Hayley's involvement in the brewing conflict between Thomas and Naomi suggests that her influence may be spreading far beyond Bill's hospital room. Whatever she says or does appears powerful enough to trigger an unexpected fight between two people whose family and professional connection should normally encourage them to avoid open conflict. Tomas has plenty to lose if the disagreement spirals out of control, especially with Naomi being his boss's daughter and Kat's cousin. Yet something about the situation will apparently push him beyond the point of remaining silent. Naomi, meanwhile, is unlikely to back down if she believes she has uncovered something important or feels that someone she cares about is being threatened. With Hayley somehow positioned at the center of the disturbance, the confrontation could expose expose tensions that have been quietly building beneath the surface. What begins as a disagreement may quickly become something far more personal, leaving Kat caught between the man she loves and a member of her own family. For Kat, the timing could hardly be worse because she has just taken an enormous leap of faith by purchasing a condo and choosing to build a home with Thomas. She may have hoped that this decision would reassure him after the pain of her rejected marriage proposal, proving that her refusal to marry him did not mean she wanted to walk away from their relationship. Instead, she could soon find herself defending a decision that already has Ted deeply concerned, while also dealing with a new conflict involving Thomas and Naomi. The excitement of moving into a new home could therefore become overshadowed by doubt before Kat and Thomas have even had the chance to enjoy their new beginning. Ted's concerns may suddenly seem less like unwanted parental interference and more like a warning that Kat moved too quickly because she was driven by guilt rather than certainty. If trouble begins surrounding Thomas immediately after the purchase, Kat may be forced to ask herself whether she truly followed her heart or simply reacted to the fear of losing him. Ted, meanwhile, may refuse to stand quietly on the sidelines while his daughter makes a decision he believes could reshape her entire future. His shock over the condo purchase is likely rooted not only in the speed of the transaction, but also in the emotional contradictions behind Kat's behavior. Just months ago, she was unwilling to move in with Thomas, and more recently, she could not bring herself to accept his marriage proposal, yet now she has suddenly committed to sharing a home with him. To Ted, those pieces may not fit together, and his instinct as a father could push him to challenge Kat before she becomes trapped in a situation she is not emotionally prepared to handle. Kat, however, may see his concern as an attempt to control her life at the very moment she is trying to make her own choices. Their conversation could therefore become another emotional confrontation, with Ted trying to protect his daughter while Kat insists that she knows exactly what she is doing. But beneath all of these separate conflicts, the most dangerous secret remains the forbidden encounter between Dani and Bill. The tornado created a moment of fear, vulnerability, and emotional intensity that shattered the boundaries they were supposed to maintain, and what happened inside that elevator cannot simply be erased now that the storm has passed. Both of them must live with the consequences, even if the people closest to them still do not know the truth. Dani's mixed emotions toward Bill reveal just how complicated the aftermath has become, because anger cannot completely erase affection and guilt cannot instantly destroy the connection they once shared. Bill's sudden medical crisis now threatens to pull those emotions back to the surface at exactly the wrong time. If Dani becomes visibly overwhelmed by the possibility of losing him, Hayley and Andre may begin asking questions that Dani is not prepared to answer. Andre's place in this unfolding drama could become especially painful if he senses that Dani's heart is still tied to her former husband. He may not yet know the full truth about what happened during the tornado, but secrets often reveal themselves through behavior long before anyone speaks the words aloud. A lingering look, an emotional reaction, or Dani's urgent need to remain close to Bill could be enough to awaken suspicion. Once doubt takes hold, it may become impossible for Andre to ignore the possibility that there is more happening between Dani and Bill than either of them has admitted. The emotional damage could be devastating, particularly because the betrayal did not happen in some distant past, but during a recent moment of crisis. If Andre discovers the truth while Bill is still fighting through his medical emergency anger, heartbreak, and concern could collide in a confrontation that changes every relationship involved. Hayley could face an equally devastating reckoning, especially if she learns that Bill's connection to Dani crossed the line into infidelity. Her marriage would suddenly be viewed through an entirely different lens, and every recent interaction between Bill and Dani could take on a painful new meaning. The fact that Bill is now hospitalized would only complicate her response, forcing her to balance fear for his health with the crushing realization that he may have betrayed her. And if suspicions of poisoning continue to grow, Hayley may find herself surrounded by questions at the same time her personal life begins collapsing around her. The pressure could expose sides of her personality that others have only begun to understand, particularly if she believes Dani is threatening the life she has built with Bill. With Hayley already capable of triggering conflict elsewhere in Fairmont Crest, there is no telling how far she might go when the threat becomes deeply personal. By the time these storylines begin colliding, Fairmont Crest may be standing on the edge of an emotional explosion. Kat's impulsive condo purchase could test her relationship with Ted and Thomas, while the strange fight between Thomas and Naomi threatens to create new divisions inside an already complicated family circle. Hayley's role in that confrontation raises even more questions about what she is doing and why her actions continue to create chaos around the people connected to Bill. Dani's frightening phone call, meanwhile, could pull her directly back into her ex-husband's world, just as she has been struggling to understand what their tornado encounter truly meant. If Bill's MRI results suggest poisoning, the medical crisis could become something far more sinister, opening the door to suspicion, accusations, and a desperate search for answers. And through it all, the secret of Dani and Bill's infidelity remains like a ticking clock, growing more dangerous with every passing moment. Tuesday, July 14, therefore, promises far more than a series of isolated confrontations, because every choice appears capable of setting off another chain reaction. Ted's concern for Kat could turn into a painful family argument. Thomas and Naomi's fight could reveal unexpected information, and Hayley's involvement could place her under even greater scrutiny. Dani may arrive expecting answers about Bill's health, only to find herself confronting feelings she thought she could control. Andre could begin noticing that something is wrong, while Hayley may realize that the greatest threat to her marriage has been standing much closer than she ever imagined. If the truth about the elevator encounter finally comes out, no relationship connected to Dani and Bill will remain untouched. In Fairmont Crest, the storm outside may have passed, but the emotional tornado it left behind is only beginning to gather strength.